Hey everyone, it's Ephraim225 here with a one-off Pokemon video. As I'm sure you have guessed, I very much enjoy Pokemon. But recent announcements, let's say, have inspired me to, rather than wait for Game Freak to make a Pokemon game I'll thoroughly enjoy, go back and actually play a Pokemon game I thoroughly enjoy. The older titles. I may not be a Gen 1er, but there sure was fun stuff you could do with Generation 1 that you can't anymore, like making a team for the Stadium Challenges. Today I wanted to tackle something I've always thought about because my brain works in stupid ways. I'm going to make a team for the Pika Cup using only Pokemon obtained in the trade with the NPCs of the games. Why am I doing this? Well, first I should tell you that the Pika Cup is the most broken tournament in Stadium 1. It's really nothing but a level restriction. The team must be between levels 15 and 20 to enter. In fact, if you use that famous glitch to get Dragonite or whatever at level 7 and level him up, yeah, he's allowed in. The only true bans on this tournament are Mew and Mewtwo, for obvious reasons. So what was that about NPC trades? Well, when you trade with an NPC, the received Pokemon is always the same level as the one you gave away. Some trades give you evolved Pokemon, and that can allow you to enter Pokemon into the Pika Cup that couldn't otherwise, not even with breeding in Generation 2. In fact, the team I have in mind consists of Pokemon that don't even have available rentals in Stadium 1, so this is simply a fun little experiment with the game, doing things that the original developers never thought you'd be able to do, but by gosh darn it, you're gonna do it anyway! You could also get some Pokemon into the Pika Cup via prize Pokemon given by Stadium itself, but let's stick to trades. One final note before we begin. If you are using the Japanese versions of these games, Japanese Blue version changes the NPC trades, giving you access to 3 more Pokemon normally unusable in the Pika Cup: Kangaskhan, Golem, and Muck. Of course, I'm playing with the international version, so I can't do that. So since we're trading stuff, we're going to need to get some Pokemon, and get them preferably at level 15. First, we need a Cubone and a Growlithe. While you could breed these at level 5 in Generation 2, I think it's way more funny to try this without Generation 2. The lowest level you can find Cubone is level 16 in Yellow Safari Zone. Ugh. Well, beggars can't and all that. Growlithe is a little tricky. He can only be found at level 15 in Red version on Route 8. I don't own a red cart, so let's say I glitch this one and leave it at that. Next we need a Poliwhirl. Head to Route 22 in Yellow version, get the Super Rod, and start fishing for one. Or you can surf on this exact same route in Generation 2. Now we need a Pikachu, and if you don't know where you can find one of those in Yellow version, I can't help you. Finally, we need a Slowbro, which you can get by surfing on Route 12, and a Venonat, which is in the grass in Route 24, both in Yellow version. Come to think of it, you can get all of this in Yellow version. Of course, when I actually tried this, I found out that the odds of the required Pokemon appearing at the required level were as low as 5%. Yeah, when you see stuff like that, it's cheat time. Get the Game Shark, people. I've already proven that this is possible to do, so I don't feel bad about using a Game Shark to save time. And now it's time for the trades. In Red or Blue version, trade the Poliwhirl to this man in Cerulean City for Jinx, and evolve Pikachu into Raichu, then trade it with the man in Cinnabar Lab for Electrode. Bonus! Both of these NPCs mentioned their received Pokemon have evolved due to a translation error. Next, trade the Slowbro for Tangela, again in Cinnabar Lab, and trade the Venonat for Lickitung on Route 17. You'll need all of these for later. For now, transfer it all to Yellow version. In Yellow version, trade the Cubone to this girl on Route 5 for a Machamp, and trade the Growlithe to this person in Cinnabar Lab for Dugong. I've done these already, just in case you were wondering. Then take the Tangela to Yellow version and trade it for Parasect on Route 18. Yes, we had to trade to an NPC on one version, and take it to another NPC in another version just because it's the only way to get Parasect at such a low level. And we're gonna do it again. Trade the Lickitung for Dugtrio on Route 11 in Yellow version. You could also simply keep the Tangela since Parasect, well, ended up not being used that much in the end for me, but the Dugtrio is very important. Side note, I wish I were playing Japanese Blue after seeing the hilarious crap you have to pull to enter Muck without a glitch. From Bulbapedia. Catch a low-level Golduck, then trade it for a Rhydon at the Cinnabar Lab in yellow version, trade the Rhydon for a Kangaskhan at the Cinnabar Lab in Japanese blue, then trade the Kangaskhan for a Muck in Cinnabar Lab in yellow version. 3 whole trades across 2 versions. It's incredible. Of course, with Generation 2's breeding mechanic, trade backs, and finding wild Pokemon at the correct level, the only Pokemon that can't enter the Pika Cup without a glitch for real are Venusaur, Charizard, Blastoise, Pidgeot, Graveler, because the trade for it forces it to become a Golem, Omastar, Kabutops, Articuno, Zapdos, Moltres, and Dragonite, and Mewtwo and Mew because of the hard ban. So after that, the only thing left is to set up all the movesets, shoot up our stats with drugs, and get going with a run of the Round 2 Pika Cup. Okay, here we go. I'm doing unscripted post-commentary from now on. So this first battle is basically a freebie. My Jinx can sweep the entire team if I had to fight the entire team. So I'm going to use this time to talk a little bit about the sets I chose. For the 2 ice types, Dugong and Jinx, I gave them both Blizzard, because Blizzard in Generation 1 is completely overpowered. Its accuracy is 90 instead of 70, like in the later games. You know, it's so weird. Fire Blast and Thunder have 70 accuracy in this game, I think, but Blizzard just got 90 because it's special, I guess. Did they want Ice to be overpowered? Well, it is now. So both Jinx and Dugong have that. Jinx, of course, has Psychic, Lovely Kiss, and one other move that I can't remember right now. I don't really use all of my moves in this run-through. Oh yeah, Jinx has Bubble Beam. That's the last move. That's strictly for emergencies. Dugong has Surf, Blizzard, Headbutt for some reason, and Rest. Like, Rest is basically useless in the Pika Cup for reasons you'll see later on. Like, why would you want to spend several turns sleeping unless your Pokemon can take several hits? And not a lot of Pokemon can take a lot of hits. At least not the ones I've chosen. Not one of my Pokemon are all that bulky. And that's a problem. But, you know, when you limit yourself the way I am, it's kind of, you know, you're gonna run into problems, certainly. I've got a Dugtrio on my team. He's got Earthquake, Rock Slide. I think I gave him Rest too, which is really strange. What else did I give him? I will see. I think it was Double Edge, actually. The Machamp is the only level 20 on my entire team. So the way the Stadium Cups work is that, like, you choose 3 out of your 6 Pokemon to fight. This is so that battles don't take forever. But the total of your selected Pokemon can't go over a certain amount. So even though the maximum level for the Pika Cup is 20, if I had 2 or more Pokemon that were level 20, I couldn't choose them both in the same battle because the limit is 50 total levels. So only one of my Pokemon could get level 20, and I decided to make it the Pokemon that you physically can't have at level 15 without a glitch or Generation 2 or whatever. So this next battle is pretty easy too, but it introduces a couple of annoying factors about the Pika Cup. So first he comes out with Pidgeotto. Okay. So all I have to do is hit it with Blizzard. Of course, compared to Surf, Blizzard has, oh, he went for Sky Attack? That's a charge-up move. You can't do that. That's not that good in Generation 1. It's not that good in any generation, but whatever. So, Blizzard having 90 accuracy is still kind of scary because there's always that off chance that she'll hit the 1 in 10 chance to miss. So even though 90 accuracy is really, really good, you know, if I had the option, I would probably not even use it at all. But it's too powerful to pass up. Because, oh, and this Pinsir, by the way, has Submission. That's got an 80% chance to hit. And luckily I hit the 1 in 5 chance to miss. So I'm gonna fire back with another Blizzard. The other ice move that Dugong has easy access to, other than Ice Beam, is Aurora Beam, both of which are too weak compared to Blizzard, so I decided not to use them. And I got hit with a submission there, but luckily I didn't get killed. In Generation 1, moves with recoil such as Submission do not give you any recoil damage if you manage to KO your target. Which probably sounds really weird, but you're rewarded for getting a KO in a lot of ways. You don't take any poison damage that turn. Hyper Beam doesn't have to, doesn't force you to recharge, etc. So assuming I'm faster than this Tangela, one Blizzard should do it in. Oh, I'm thinking about switching here, actually. Another thing is that the Stadium Cups, you have to play through 8 battles, so this switch probably looks a little weird. That's because I don't want Dugong to get KO'd. If you take even one KO in a Stadium Cup battle, then you don't get an extra life. You get extra lives for not taking any KOs. And I actually want to gather as many extra lives as possible, so in such an early match that is really easy anyways, I decided to take the risk by switching over to Jinx, who can still deliver a one-hit kill here. Not much of a risk, but still a small risk. Okay, so I couldn't talk about what I actually wanted to talk about in that battle. Normally this trainer would use his Wartortle, and his Wartortle has Dig. Dig is extremely annoying. A lot of opponents in this cup have it. And in Generation 1, Dig is as strong as Earthquake. And you might wonder why they don't just give all of their opponents, of the opponents who use Dig, Earthquake instead. Well, I don't think Wartortle can learn Earthquake, actually. So what does this trainer have? This trainer has a lot of stuff that's weak to electricity, so you're going to see some Electrode action, and I think I brought Machamp for this one too. My Machamp has Submission, Double Edge, Rock Slide, and Rest. I put Rest on a lot of Pokemon, just to make sure they wouldn't have like a blank move or something. I mean, this Electrode has Toxic, and in hindsight, Swift would have been a way better option than Toxic. He's got Thunder Wave and Thunderbolt, as well as Explosion for emergencies. And Thunder Wave, it wound up not being the most useful move in the world. Thunder Wave is way better for long-term battles, but in Stadium Cups, you're only doing 3 out of your 6 Pokemon. Parasect, I wound up never selecting Parasect at all in any of these matches, just because, like, I get enough coverage from my other 5 team members when they're needed. So, like, why would I ever choose the Grass type? Grass isn't strong enough to be worth it in Generation 1. Yeah, especially a Grass Bug, I think? And a ton of them are Grass Poison? Makes no sense. I'm not sure how much better it would have been if I'd kept the Tangela instead of Parasect. Remember, this challenge is about using in-game trade Pokemon, so my options are not that big. Like, you might be thinking that I could avoid all the problems with Dig and Earthquake if I just brought Farfetch'd in, but that would still mean that I would have to take up one of my 3 Pokemon that I choose for that round with Farfetch'd, and, you know, it's Farfetch'd. So my Electrode is really fast. Faster than anything else in the game, in fact. Yeah, this is normally the point where I would take a KO, and I'm probably going to take one right here. Yeah, no, actually I survive. That's interesting. It's probably because of the special stat being what it is. The special stat in Generation 1 counts for both special attack and defense, so those calciums are really worth it. These Pokemon don't have any sort of EV training either. I just use the maximum 10 vitamins on each stat. For most of them, anyways. So that's 3 continues I'm allowed to use. It feels like I wanted to say something about that opponent, but I can't remember what. This next opponent is worth a couple words, though. This one cost me a couple continues on previous attempts. Like, this isn't my first attempt, it's more like my 4th. This guy has a Dugtrio, and it's faster than anything else in my party. Even my own Dugtrio. Probably because it's level 18 and everything else is level 15. But, you know, I didn't really plan for the Dugtrio in any fashion. I just want to hope that he doesn't pick it. And in this attempt, he didn't, so that's good. But his other Pokemon aren't going to let me get away without a fight, though, because this Tentacruel has Wrap. Wrap in Generation 1 is infamously broken. As soon as you're caught with it, you cannot do anything except switch out. Literally anything. So if a Wrapper is faster than your Pokemon and you don't switch out to something that is faster, you're going to be in trouble. Fortunately, Electrode is very fast. And if you do get hit with Wrap, then switching out is actually a free action. But he's going to switch out now because he sees that I've switched to Electrode. So he switches to a ground type. The AI in Stadium is much smarter than the AI in the Game Boy games. In the Game Boy games, you very, very rarely see your opponent switch out. Like, the only opponent that most players ever see switching out is Agatha of the Elite Four. And I've seen, like, one juggler do it on occasion. But in this game, they're far more likely to switch out if they see that they're up against an unfavorable situation. In this case, they did. Switching to Dugtrio, though, was probably not a good idea, but I know that this Nidoking has Thunderbolts, so, you know, maybe he would anticipate the switch? I don't know how good the AI is. But he went for Double Edge instead. I guess Nidoking doesn't have very good physical attack, because it feels like that Double Edge should have taken me out. But oh well. This Earthquake definitely takes him out in one shot, especially with a crit. Critical hits in Gen 1 are based on the speed stat. So Electrode and Dugtrio are very likely to get a lot of crits. In fact, in other parts of this game, I love using Jolteon because they fixed the focus energy glitch, so one focus energy basically means Jolteon is guaranteed critical hits, like a lot of them. So this guy is an Onix. It does have Dig, doesn't it? Oh yeah, here it goes. Now, I thought this would be perfectly alright because, you know, I've got an Earthquaker, and my opponent just used Dig, so that should be it should be obvious what I do here, right? Well, I forgot that in Generation 1, Earthquake can't hit something that's underground. Go figure, am I right? Generation 1 is totally Generation 1. That was a weird thing to say. But Earthquake hitting underground opponents was not introduced until, I think, Generation 2. I think you can do that in Stadium 2, I'm not sure. This is why Swift would have been a better option than Toxic for Electrode, because then I could hit some things that are underground. Swift will never miss, even if your opponent is digging, flying, etc. So he switches out again here. Because, again, unfavorable situation, why wouldn't you switch? This Surf isn't going to do a lot of damage, but it'll at least do something. And Electrode is still alive. Right? Yeah. I'm actually going to wait for him to use Wrap. Because, you know, it's better to switch when it's a free action than when it isn't. Otherwise, Electrode would get wrapped. And the funny thing is, like, Dragonite can actually learn Wrap. Because Dratini can learn Wrap. So, for the Poke Cup, for example, Wrap Dragonite is actually a slow but effective way to play. Because Dragonite has a good attack stat, and I'm getting off topic. So that Surf earlier was actually enough to, I think, make this Thunderbolt able to knock him out. At least I thought I did, until I was corrected by what I just saw. I'm losing it. Fortunately, Electro can survive this Surf. He decided not to switch, oddly enough. Even though he's still got Onix alive. I wonder why he decided not to switch. Oh well. So, let's see, I was talking about something. That's a consequence of this being unscripted, I guess. I could totally go for an explosion right now if I wanted to. Because I've already taken one KO, I think. So it doesn't matter if I take another one. I don't have any shot at the extra life now. But I went for Toxic instead. I probably should have just exploded and have been done with it. Would have taken less time, because now he's gonna dig. And this damage basically means nothing, because my last Pokemon is Dugong, who has Surf. So, like, what am I doing here? Such a strange decision on my part. Toxic is not... Any toxic strategy is probably not good in Generation 1. Well, not... Maybe in other parts of Generation 1 if you use the Toxic Leech Seed bug, but not if you're doing the Pika Cup. At least not the way I am. I forget if Protect is in this game, and if it is, you know, you go for those Toxic Protect strats. No one will like you if you do, because that's unsportsmanlike, I guess. Alright, so as long as Dugong can survive a hit from this Dig, and Dig has been known to get critical hits, that it doesn't have any sort of special crit rate bonus, and Onyx isn't particularly fast, although it is faster than Dugong somehow. But I have seen it get critical hits, and I guess even if I did take a crit there, I'd have survived anyhow. Dugong is pretty good when you don't have access to Lapras. But for this challenge, I don't. Of course, this being the Pika Cup, you know, the Pika Cup is completely broken because all you need is a maxed out Starmie with a sweeper set, and then, you know, it's over. The whole thing is basically a formality, because Starmie is just that good in Generation 1. At least for this cup. Being Psychic type helps. So this guy actually ended one of my previous runs. That Executor is probably like the biggest threat there, because I don't have any fire moves, I don't have any bug moves, because, you know, who's going to use a bug move in Generation 1? The only good one is Leech Life. And it's not even that good, it's very suboptimal. Actually, Grass is weak to Ice, so I don't know why I'm worried. So he leads out with Golduck. Let's see. Feels like he leads out with one of his other Pokemon a lot more often. One of the ground types, I think he had. Oh, but this Golduck knows Dig! So, isn't that beautiful? Now, something tells me Golduck's attack stat isn't very good, so I could probably survive a hit here. But I made a switch. I guess I was worried about something. But I definitely know my Machamp can take a hit here, because he's the bulkiest guy on my team right now, with the highest defense stat, the highest HP. I'm not exactly sure what move I should pick here, because Submission and Rock Slide both have chances to miss. I don't think Double Edge does, though. And I think I did pick Double Edge. Yeah, I did. In addition to having 100 accuracy, because Golduck only has 7 hit points left, this recoil damage is going to be highly minuscule. Highly minuscule? What kind of phrase is that? That's a paradox. So Raticate comes in. This is the guy he usually leads with, I think. So I'm going to try and get a submission here just because it's a one-hit knockout, if I do get it. And he goes for Hyper Beam, which is fine. I mean, it missed, but even if it had hit, I don't think I would have been KO'd there. Because if you do get KO'd by Hyper Beam, then you don't have to recharge. So that's the threat of Hyper Beam in Gen 1. But as you also saw, KOing something with submission means I don't take any recoil damage, and I can do the same thing again here. As long as I don't hit that 1 in 5 chance to miss. Fingers crossed. And I got it. Fighting types are pretty good in Gen 1. I just wish they had more moves, because for some reason Karate Chop isn't a fighting move. Pretty sure Low Kick is, though. Submission is also a TM, so, like, almost every move on all of my Pokemon here came from a TM. I had to duplicate a lot of TMs to make this possible. Fortunately, my Stadium 2 cartridge has this big stockpile of TMs, duplicated over and over again with bugs and stuff. So this guy, he's got a Lapras on his team, and he's got a Charmeleon. the Charmeleon is actually really dangerous. And I was hoping I would get it because I led with Doug Trio. But I suppose running into Electrode is also not that bad. Something tells me I should have anticipated a switch here because... Oh, actually Electrode's just going to explode. Which I guess is fine? I mean, I'm okay with it. A KO is a KO. I only really need the Doug Trio if I didn't bring Dugong and Charmeleon comes up. But the reason the Charmeleon is actually very dangerous is because it has Dragon Rage. And I know what you're thinking. Fear my fixed 40 damage, right? Well, guess what? In the Pika Cup, almost nothing has more than 80 hit points. So 2 Dragon Rages is enough to KO somebody. If you stick Dragon Rage on something that's particularly fast, then, you know, that's a really good Pokemon to use for this cup. I mean, there's a reason that they banned Dragon Rage and Sonic Boom from the Little Cup in Stadium 2, and presumably every other version of the Little Cup ever. So, about that Muck just now, you probably already know this because you watched the first 6 minutes of this video, but you can't get Muck into this cup normally unless you have a copy of Japanese Blue and you're playing all of the Japanese versions. So, that opponent was technically cheating. In fact, a lot of these opponents are technically cheating. So he didn't use the Raichu in this fight. Instead, he brought in Raichu. Did I say he didn't use the Raichu? I can't remember my own sayings right now. So that was actually very lucky, having a special fall, because that means his attack and his defense decreased. So when I switched to Electrode here, you know, I'm pretty safe. In fact, for a moment I thought my third Pokemon was Dugong, not Electrode. But it turns out it was Electrode, so I don't take double damage from anything. But even if I did, I'm pretty sure I would be safe because his special dropped. And I can't use Explosion here because if you explode on the last Pokemon, you are declared the loser, even if you KO'd the other guy, which makes a lot of sense. I wonder if this Double Edge will KO him. I did take a lot of damage there. Nah, he's left with 3 hit points. It would have been funnier if the recoil got him. But no matter. I'm going to take this last one. And that's round 6 to me. So 6 down, and I haven't used a single continue yet. But that's going to change because for round 7, I had to actually use a continue. But that was the only continue I had to use. Of course, this doesn't account for all of the previous failed runs, which there were about 3 or 4 of. I knew I could beat this if I tried enough times. It was only a matter of when it was going to happen. Which I guess means that this strategy is not the best, but... you know, it's a challenge. Sometimes you've got to play suboptimally if you want a challenge. So this trainer is just loaded with illegal Pokemon for this cup. Rhydon cannot get in here at level 15 without a glitch, a trade, or, you know, some kind of trickery like that. I have no idea why she didn't switch this one out, because, you know, 4 times the damage plus a critical hit, that is a guaranteed KO. I think she kept it in because that Rhydon has Thunderbolt, which is also a very weird decision. Yeah, there's so many weird moves. Okay, so this Arcanine is the reason I had to use a continue, because it has Dragon Rage. What do you know? It's not even close to being a dragon. It's like a dog or something. It's got canine in its name. I don't know. It doesn't even have to use Dragon Rage for the second hit here. It could use Fire Blast, and I'd probably lose to that, too. So both this, and I think I brought in Machamp. Yeah, Machamp's bulkiness doesn't... oh, it has Swift, too. That's nice. So, Machamp's bulkiness means absolutely nothing to this Arcanine. I'm not even sure how you counter this thing, unless you just use a speedy Starmie that can sweep in one hit anyhow, like I've already gone over. But I don't have that privilege now, do I? Maybe there is a trade for a Starmie somewhere. Actually, there isn't. I'm crazy. By the way, did you know that Dragon Rage is the only Dragon-type move in the game? In Generation 1, anyways. You can't even do Dragon-type damage because it's a fixed 40 damage. So anyhow, I used a Rock Slide, and that's the end of Arcanine, so this round is probably going to be pretty much mine. Now, this Clefable can actually cause trouble, however, because, you know how it is with Metronome, right? I don't even think it has Metronome, actually. Let's see what it does. Oh, Psychic! I'm pretty sure its special stat is not that good. If you can't KO Machamp with Psychic, then your special stat is probably not that good. And that's a one-hit kill, so that leaves only one more opponent. The Pika Cup isn't really the hardest tournament in the world, but sometimes bad luck can cause trouble. And it did for those ruined attempts. But this was my first attempt with this team getting to round 8. So, to lose here, to lose all of my continues here, all 3 of them, would be very unfortunate. Oh, the recording glitch. That's fantastic. Oh, well. Oh, speaking of illegal Pokemon, you can't get a Kangaskhan into this tournament without a glitch, or a trade, or something like that. There are actually some crazier Pokemon that you can bring into this cup that you're not supposed to. And I know you're not supposed to because things like Kangaskhan and Golem aren't offered as rentals. Speaking of Golem, here's one right now. Maybe you can get a Golem into this tournament, but certainly not at level 15. So he switches over to Starmie. About time we see that one. And I got a little bit lucky here because this Surf was a critical hit. So even though bringing it down to 29 doesn't look all that impressive, that means that an Electro Thunderbolt can probably take it down in one hit. I'm not sure that it could have taken it down in one hit if its HP were still at max. So right there I was debating, should I just try to hit it with Blizzard or Surf again, or should I switch over to Electrode? And I eventually settled on switching to Electrode, because I figured that it would have Thunderbolt, but no, it had Thunder Wave instead, which is not good because now Paralysis gets added into the mix. So I had to cross my fingers a little bit here. I had to hope this Surf doesn't turn into a critical. I had to hope that I don't get fully paralyzed more than one time. But luckily the Thunderbolt goes through. I've had runs where I just missed over and over again with the most basic moves. That's the nature of luck, I guess. So what does he throw in now? Golem again? Well, at this point in the game, I figured Electrode's paralyzed, so his speed is going to be lower, so I can't really use him to do much here. And if I switch to somebody else, they're going to wind up taking a hit. At least they would have if he didn't have Dig. So I decided to get as much damage as I could off on him. Went for a Toxic. Obviously didn't hit. See, imagine if it were Swift instead. At least that would have gotten a hit for, like, 1 damage, but still. So now I have to switch to Dugong, but at least she won't take a hit. I think it's a female Dugong. The nickname for her is kind of feminine, I guess. But now, since Golem is so slow, I'll definitely be able to surf him to death. Quad damage again. Makes me wonder why they even bring in Rhydon and Golem and bizarrely don't switch to something else when they see a water type. But with only one other Pokemon left, he probably doesn't want to risk anything happening to it either. And his last Pokemon is Dragonair. It too has Dragon Rage, go figure. But it's going to take quad damage from Blizzard. However, this Dragonair is actually faster than Dugong. So, the last Pokemon that I selected was Jinx, so, you know, she could get a Blizzard off on him too. But she won't have to, because I managed to get a Freeze. I guess you could say it's the icing on the cake. If you get frozen in Generation 1, then unless you get hit with a fire move, then you are basically done. Forget about it. It's one of the reasons they introduced the freeze clause, which states that no more than one Pokemon can be frozen at a time, which is nice. They also made a sleep clause, but none of the opponents that we had to deal with used sleep. Actually, a couple of them do. One of the opponents had a Mr. Mime, and I usually anticipate like some kind of status effect from him. But that's all 8 rounds, and we've cleared the Pika Cup with a team entirely of in-game trade Pokemon. So this is pretty much my ode to them, except for Parasect. I didn't use Parasect even once, because I guess I just didn't need him. I don't even know why I brought him on the team. I could have brought something more useful. But then again, you know, the others, I needed coverage from all 5 other members, so I don't know if I would have picked that 6th member anyways. So anyhow, that's it for this one-off Pokemon video. I hope you found it at least somewhat interesting. And maybe I'll do another challenge like this sometime, if I can think of a good one. So that's that. See you guys later.